Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. How you doing? You know, Google Hangouts is ending. Did you know that, by the way?
No.
It is. They're going to something called YouTube Live, so it's gonna. We're still gonna be able to do what we do, but it's just we have to learn a whole new thing. Of
Wonderful.
course, maybe it's bad. I mean, Google Hangouts has been very good. I thought. I mean,
I
it's.
think
I
it's been
mean,
great. Why are they ending it?
well, you know, Google bought YouTube, and it's really all about YouTube, and they want to make sure the Hangout thing. The Hangout thing was really just a vehicle to get things on YouTube, which it has done. You know, it's worked really well. Like for us, for example, we wouldn't be on YouTube if Hangouts didn't automatically go to YouTube. It would probably be
Right.
a pain in the neck to get us to YouTube. So it just, you know, Hangouts automatically end up on YouTube. So this is really about their investment in YouTube.
Okay.
So, and I think it, you know, hopefully, I hope, you know, and they asked me because as a Hangout user who uses it every day, they did email me. They're like, we noticed you use Google Hangouts, you know, almost every day. I'm like, yeah, I use it, you know, 20 days a week or 20 days a month or whatever it is, or you know. And I said, yeah, you know, for sure. And they said, what are some of your interests? I told them, you know, how there needs to be a better phone system, like you can make calls and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I dig into that, sure. And we're gonna do. There's a good meme running around. We're gonna play around with tomorrow, maybe later today. But I wanted to mention something that's interesting. So my daughter is doing her first year of high school soccer tryouts,
Yeah.
and she's and I think this applies to a lot of people out there who have kids in high school trying out for sports because this time of year, first of all, her schedule is insane. She has 20 straight days of 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. practices, and then 3:30 to 6:30 practices. 2 a days, 20 straight days in the summer, right? August, crazy, right? It's just which is nuts, but that's you know it's all fine. And so she's like, you know, she's a piece of meat. Like she's just so exhausted. She's just flobbering around here, like, well, I can't even breathe. I'm so sore. I'm so tired, which is typical of a teenager anyway. But
Right.
she usually has all kinds of energy. But what's interesting is today she went to try out, and the coach. Now my daughter is definitely, you know, and I'm not just saying this. She's a good player, and she should make. She'll make the JV team at least, but she maybe make the varsity team. She's a goalie though, so maybe the varsity team's not that they have a senior goalie, so maybe the varsity team they should, you know, if I was doing it, I would if I was a coach, I would put her on the JV team, let her play a
So
bunch,
she plays more. Yeah.
bring her up once in a while, just like thinking the AHL NHL comparison here. And I
Hmm.
really bring this up rest because of prospects, and then something came out today. So my daughter, I was watching some of the tryouts, and I've watched them scrimmage a little bit, but you know, from my car as I wait. And there's three goalies, and I think she's probably second best. Like I think the senior's better than her. The other goalies, who's a year older than her, I think she's probably better than her, but you know, it's tight or whatever. Um, and skill-wise, my daughter, like they 35 people run the mile and the 2 miles. She came in second place in both of them. Like she ran a 6:04 mile, which is really pretty darn
That
good.
is really good.
She's in crazy shape. You know, she got all the in shape in our family, I always say. So she's got that right. So anyway, the coach today, you know, started yelling at her because he said, you know, she said you're not diving right. You got to fix that today. You got to fix your dives today. And you know, it just was trying to throw him at her back. You know, I've she's a tons of training and all this stuff, and
Right.
then the coach started getting in her face about some other things. And she comes into the car, and of course she's all upset, and she's like, "Oh man, I don't know what to do. I feel," and I realized it occurred to me like a little bit of what Russ has talked about at this time of like of the difference between a player who's just younger than a player who's older. Like here she is, a 14-year-old, right? And she's going a freshman in high school. She's been told she's very good. All of her like basically she's played in travel teams. Like she just won the gold medal for the Maccabi Games in St. Louis for soccer, and now she's going into a situation where the team, high school teams are not always as good as travel teams. Her team's probably not as good as her travel team, but there's girls that are 3 and 4 years older than her, so that plays into that, right? And she's going into a situation where a coach is seeing how the coach who knows she can probably handle it physically is seeing how she can handle it mentally, and it's like
Right.
it's a fascinating thing. So I'm sitting there and I'm telling her, well, you know, if you make the JV team, like all the things we've talked about before, and this is something I think a lot of parents are going through. This is why I bring it up because I talked to a couple other parents today, and they were all like, "Oh, this is a good talk. You should write a story about this." And I just want to talk about it for a second. So, if you make the JV team, it's okay. I said you're a goalie first of all, and
Hmm.
you'll play more. And if the other goalie gets hurt, if the other goalie wants a day off, they can always bring you up. It's like the AHL, NHL. You're not stuck on one team. You can go up and back as much as you want to. A little different actually, probably than the AHL. NHL. There's no waivers.
Right.
So anyway, I said that's a good thing. So she's like, no, no. She said, I'll be devastated if I don't make the varsity team, right? Which is typical. And I, you know, I'm sitting
Hmm.
there, I'm saying to her, no, you know, you shouldn't be devastated. I said, yeah, I see these players all the time, and I said, Provorov, for example, you know, I just brought, she knows these players because she hears me talking about it. I said, Provorov might have been the Flyers' best defenseman last year in training camp, but he's not ready to play yet. He just needs to age a year. He needs to get older. He needs to get mentally tougher. Um, and then she's like, she said, well, I don't care. I want to make it. And I'm like, that's good, actually. I think, and I think when you're dealing with your kids, I said, I know Provorov wanted to make the Flyers last year too. I said, it's
Right.
not wrong for you to want to make the team. I said, as a youngster, that's of course, if there would be something wrong with you if you didn't want to make the varsity team, if you didn't want to be the best, right?
Right.
But you also have to understand the positives of taking your time a little bit and letting yourself develop a little bit here, and mentally being strong. Because if you put, and what I said the coach is doing is trying to test her mentally to see if she's able to handle it. Because goalie is a tough position, right? And if you're a freshman goalie and you're taking on all this pressure, that's a tough spot. And if you're not,
Yeah, but here's I was playing softball last night, and I saw them before we got on to the softball field. This is like the second or third week in a row the football team was working out, right?
Right.
And if there's any sort of coach that I hate more in life, it's football coaches.
Yeah.
Because I'm watching him just literally. There's a couple of guys just beat on these kids.
Yeah.
They had a hose.
Well,
I never saw them take water once in 45 minutes. I saw guys doing laps. It's 85-degree humidity. I don't know how long they were out there, and I saw a lot of negative reinforcement. And this sounds like a little bit of negative reinforcement too. Like, oh, well, let's see what she can handle. And I'm thinking,
you're right.
let's be instructional about it.
In many cases, I do agree with you. In this case, I don't, because she has been pretty instructional about it. She was telling her what to do, and my daughter was falling back into her habits, and she did need to be told. And she just said it really harshly, like, you got to fix that now. Like, we worked on it, you got to fix that immediately. And yeah, and this coach has been really good in other ways. But I see exactly what you're saying. And then we got to talking about Michelle Terry and my daughter and I said, here's a coach who does manage to coach by making his team turn against him. I said, when she's yelling at you, that's making. There's a lot of people who really like Quinn on the team. Players she's played with, players who she's practiced with in the preseason so far, who really want her to be on the team. And they say, a lot of, but and they get mad at the coach too. And I said, there's a way. That's a method of coaching that exists. Right. That is something that works to a degree for a while, but not all the time. And that was, obviously my beef with Terrian is that is his only method, right? That I've seen at least. That's his main method at least. When things are going bad, that's what he turns to.
But it's worked for him. I mean,
has it? I mean, look at Montreal last year. I mean, did it work? I mean,
no, it's worked.
Well,
it didn't work in Montreal. But.
No, because Montreal, and I'm sorry, I'm sorry for the Habs fans out there, but Montreal has been a flawed team for years. That's the point. I mean, they had a certain amount of success with Terrian, but because they didn't have enough scoring, or they only had one really good defenseman, or they were resting their fate on one of the best goaltenders in hockey. They weren't good enough to win. Now, I'm not saying that that's applicable to the situation with your daughter, but I know that coaches do push buttons, and that's one way of them being able to motivate players.
But it has a shelf life to it, okay? And if you're going to use that as a main method, you have a shelf life. And, we've seen that throughout sports. And in my daughter's case, I really don't think that is the case. I really do like this coach. And I think that she's good. She's not, it's a female coach, and she's fair with them, and she's giving them stuff like that. But I think that my daughter, had her ego hit a little bit, and I like that. You know what I mean? And I like the fact that she did. And it got me thinking about, the discussions I have with Russ all the time about, players. And, the difference between, like, say, a Travis Konechny, who most people – I might be getting a text at any moment about VC, so I'll jump off. Basically, the thoughts we've had about, like, say, Travis Konechny, who I want to – Flyers fans are going to want him on the team as soon as possible. Is he mentally ready to make it? He seems like he is, but, he's mentally ready in comparison to what we've seen. But then they kick a guy like Sean Couturier, for example, step back for a while. Sean Couturier comes in and immediately is basically – It stays, right? He stays because, and why does he stay? Probably because of this aspect, because they saw the mental maturity, not just the on-ice maturity, not just the ability, but the fact that the guy was mentally completely stable. Am I correct on this?
And the role that
Couturier
was going to see and that's where I think it has to do with a lot of things, because a guy like Konechny, with his scoring ability, is probably projected as being a top 6 forward in the NHL, but the size question and the strength question are big question marks.
Right, and that comes with age too.
That does come with age. It does, but there's a coaching thing too, in the sense that, like, if you go Craig Berube, Dave Haxtell, Craig Berube didn't get a lot of mileage out of young players. He didn't have a lot of patience for the young players,
right?
And as a result, I don't think got far with them.
Yeah.
Where Haxtell is used to dealing with young players and got a lot more mileage out of those same players. He basically had most of the same players and got a lot better results. So I do think there are two ways to skin a cat. I'll take your benefit of the doubt on the way this coach is handling them.
Yeah.
But when you know you have a younger goalie, you know you have to handle that goalie a little differently than your starting goalie.
Goalies you do have to handle differently, but you also, the big thing with goalies, and I know it is the fact, and that's why I was kind of hoping Jillian was on here today, because Jillian got hurt herself kickboxing. She was supposed to be with us today. She's okay. She's okay,
listen,
but she's...
I got a pulled hamstring. Here's a quick story, right? So last night, we're playing in 85-degree heat, and I did hydrate before the game. I also had a beer at the game, but I was well hydrated. And I was running like crazy, and it finally pulled a hamstring when I scored from second base on a base hit, right?
Right.
And that was good because I'm an older guy. We had a bunch of guys who like, my foot hurts, my hamstring hurts, whatever. And this other guy didn't want to go into the game, and I said, how old are you? And he goes, 29. I'm like, dude, I'm 52. Get in the game.
Nice.
Well Russ,
I like it.
I haven't played softball in a while, but when I did, I mean, I used to just go right in the game, no stretching, no nothing, just go.
You got to stretch.
No. But I never ever got hurt. And then all of a sudden, I talked to a friend, and he says, oh, you're stupid. You got to stretch. You got to do this. So, I looked up an instructional video on YouTube. Proper way to stretch, this and that. First inning of this game, I don't pull one quad. I pull both quads. And I'm walking around like
You're lifting a tree? Why would you feel your... That's crazy.
Because I was in the outfield, I was running trying to catch a ball, pop fly, and I pulled a quad. I didn't do it on purpose. But I'm just saying, the one time I actually do stretch, and then after the game, I'm walking around like a geriatric with a walker.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's really interesting. No, I mean, this stuff, it's like, I just think that, it's interesting because a lot of parents can kind of relate their hockey stuff to what's going on with their kids when trying out for teams, I think. And it's kind of interesting how you know this about hockey players. You've learned this because, Russ is another prospect people have taught us this concept. But, you don't always associate it with your own child and how that does actually play into it. This is her NHL. This is probably the highest level of soccer she'll ever play in. She may go on to play, in college. I don't know. She's really more of an academic kid. We're not looking for scholarships for soccer, but she loves playing. But this might be her. This is with her peers at least. This is a high level. So making this team she's made the other team that she's been on for 5 years. She doesn't have to make that team anymore. So trying out for a team like this is intense.
Right. Well, you know what, though? It's all how a coach handles it, though. And I'll give you – the only thing I have is personal experience on this. When I was in 8th grade, I used to play pickup basketball, and everybody's like, why don't you play for the team? And I'm like, I don't know. I just enjoy playing basketball. I don't need to play for the team. Like, no, you should try out for the team. You're better than most of the guys on the team. So I did it, right? And I get through every practice, everything. It's the last day of cuts. And then the coach did something mind-blowing, which I don't think coaches would ever do now. But he basically said, okay, whoever's on the left side here, side A, you've pretty much made the team. And I was on that side, right? He goes, but anybody from side B can play somebody from side A in one-on-one, and if you impress me, then you might be able to make the team, right?
Right.
At that point in my life, I was probably like 5'5". And so a guy who was like 5'11" comes and plays me one-on-one. He posts me up, and the guy goes, oh, yeah, you got cut. You're like the last cut. And I'm thinking, you're an idiot. Like, I just got so mad, and so it is how you handle.
Oh yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, there are good coaches and bad coaches. I've seen them. I've know, and I've seen them before. So there's no question. I just think it's kind of fascinating, to watch your kid go through it, and then to take your experience from my job, which is this.
Well, it's good that you could be analytical about it and not be a crazy parent about it.
Right, because as a coach myself in soccer, I realized I told the coach, because I think she's afraid because maybe because I'm a coach and she's thinking, what if pick your daughter on JV, and I basically said, I understand why you would, I said I completely get it, that she, play her and bring her up to play a couple games. She's also a good out player though, so they might put her up and have play her out too for a first year, which would be great for her too. So because she's playing.
But if you were Robert Reed, the only difference between you and Robert Reed is, if you were Robert Reed, you would have brought back in the day Pele over the house to shoot on your daughter, because that's what they would have done on the Brady Bunch. Pele would have
that's right, exactly. Remember that?
Pele would have come on the show, and he would have been shooting on like Peter or Bobby, and that's how they would have handled it.
Those guys, you just can't get people like if somebody from the Monkees to show up at your house anymore or anything like that. You just can't do that. All right, let's start the show. I got some interesting things to talk about today, I think. Hello, Hockey World. It's Tuesday, August 16th, 2016.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Eklund, and you're watching HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes to you every Monday through Friday at this time to try to fill you in on the comings and goings. We come year-round. We don't take the summers off. We keep on trucking. So for those of you out there, and it's a terrible 70s reference, sorry.
We keep grinding.
Yeah, what is this? What is this? The movie Convoy?
I know. Yeah, the great big convoy.
Or Beat and the Bear, the TV show?
Convoy. All right, so let's move on to obviously the big story today is officially Jimmy Vesey is talking to other teams. He's trying to see other girls. He's going to see what's going to happen here. He's dating others. He's playing the field.
The gravel portion of the tour has begun, like I said it would.
Right. The gravel portion, right? And teams now are looking at a guy who they can sign for 1 year, right? Or they can sign for as long as they want to, but
No.
I'm confused. This is such a confusing.
It's all confusing, but it's going to be a 1 year deal.
It's got to be a 1 year deal.
It's gonna be a 1 year deal because the goal here for VC is to get to restricted free agency and get out of the entry level as quickly as possible. Right now, the max he can sign for is $925,000 base contract, $70,000 AHL portion, and the bonuses Schedule A and Schedule B would add up to $2.85 million. So
that's pretty exact. So there you have it. That's very exact, Mike. Thanks. And so there you have. So he can sign. So basically, it doesn't matter. All the teams are going to give him the same amount. We basically assume they're all going to give him, because he's in a little bit of a bidding war, they'll give him as much as he wants for the most part, bonuses and stuff like that. But so it's coming down to where he wants to play and who he wants to play with. And even though I talked about that yesterday, I won't get into it. See the show yesterday about my feelings on player signing based on who they want to play with. But the idea here is that's where it's at right now. So we're there. And today, a couple new teams come into view. One, we hear about the Pittsburgh Penguins are talking to him. The Penguins, obviously, last I talked to the Penguins, they had no money at all to spend, and they were very adamant about that. There's no way we're getting anything else after signing Justin Schultz. I believe they have to come down. I think they have to make a move still, don't they, before the season starts?
I think they do, yeah.
I think Justin Schultz, they had $1 million to spend, and I think they spent 1.2 or 3 on Justin Schultz or something like that. And so I know that they still have to make moves. So to bring in him, especially with these bonuses that could potentially kill. I mean, this is a team that really does not want that bonus thing to hit them next year.
Right.
That would be bad. So, but yet they are talking to him, which brings up all sorts of things. Maybe they have a place they could put Marc-Andre Fleury. Maybe they know about this. I don't know. That's possible. That would be my only thought. If they're meeting with VC, they have to think that they can put Marc-Andre Fleury somewhere.
Well, yeah, you have to remember. I mean, because looking at Cap Central. Pascal Dupuis is still on the books.
Okay, so that would be their way out.
They can go, and they have the contract room. They only have 44.
I think even contract. With that, though, I was told.
No. I mean, because Dupuis, once they get to the regular season, he goes on LTIR, and that's $3.75 million. I mean, you have to worry about the bonuses, but the bonuses will hit next year.
Yeah.
So they could fit them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe a tight squeeze, but they could probably.
VC's not going to Pittsburgh because, again, the playing time won't be that great.
I asked somebody about that today, and I've been talking to people about VC all morning. So I said the same thing. I'm like, why would he go to Pittsburgh? If he's going to a place like Buffalo, makes sense to me. Even New Jersey makes sense. These are places where he could play because he has Toronto makes sense because they have space, they have openings, right? But yet Pittsburgh, but yet Chicago, we talked to Chicago. He's talking to Pittsburgh, so that's a little bit of a tell in my mind. Okay, maybe VC is a little more interested in winning than we think. Like, if these are two teams he's talking to.
I'm sure he is interested in winning. He does have a winning attitude, but I guess the basic point is his agent will help guide him through this. But nobody's going to pick the Penguins to repeat this year.
No, but if you're VC, there's one major thing you look at. And if I'm VC's agent, I say there's one thing you look at, okay, and that is the fact that Dupuis is not there anymore, like you said. Right. And the fact of the matter is we still haven't found Sidney Crosby's guy, okay? So if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm like, you know what? There's an opening on Sidney Crosby's wing. That's a
you can't. If you're VC, no way.
Jim Rutherford's going down the same road as he did last year, if that's the case, because he said, well, Phil Kessel's going to be, and Phil Kessel wasn't going to be on Crosby.
No, right, but if you're VC and you think, okay, and from what I've heard of VC's game, he's
the thing,
he's, you know, the mucker.
I don't think it's going to match with Crosby. I don't.
The thing that most people forget about this situation is the fact that, yes, if he signs with a Pittsburgh or he signs with the Chicago Blackhawks and he plays with a Taves or a Crosby or a Malkin, he'll have immediate success. He'll be able to hit his bonuses. He'll be able to, you know, have some leverage in terms of a new contract. But the problem is, it's not a one-year contract and then he's a UFA.
Right.
He's going to be an RFA. He gives up. He's basically giving up his right to be a free agent to go where he wants to go. And those teams, especially Chicago, has a history, as we know, of trading off players. Trading off Brandon Saad, trading off Andrew Shaw when they, don't fit in the construct of their salary cap. They have Taves, they have Kane, they have all this money locked up on certain players. And if you're on the outside and you're looking to make money, they can't accommodate you. Pittsburgh's almost in that same situation with the lack of flexibility. Now, maybe they can open up space with a Marc-Andre Fleury, but to my mind, that has VC potentially leaning towards a team that he wants to be with, that wants to keep him long term. And then you go back to Toronto, Buffalo, maybe Boston, maybe New Jersey. I think those teams have an advantage over the more successful teams who are ready to contend for a cup because there's not a lot of room to operate with those teams.
I agree, and I think if we look at history, I'm not picking Pittsburgh to win again this year. I didn't pick them to win last year, but then I saw it happening, and then I knew that they were becoming a contender in that second half of the season. But again, Chicago's still probably more poised to win than Pittsburgh. I mean, that's the reality. They have better younger players still, even with their core.
Okay, we have like I said, we always have some people watching the show that are interesting out there, and this is a source out there who is at the NHL, who is watching the show, and said what Mike is missing. It's funny they're watching you, Mike. What Mike is missing is what Mike is missing partially is that this is a 1-year deal, and it's about 1 year and what you can do in 1 year. I'm not. That is interesting because it does make sense. Like if you're going to sign if this is a 1-year deal,
you're not going 1 year then free agency. You're not a total UFA.
RFA, I know,
right.
but your value goes up dramatically.
Mm-hmm. But we're not talking 1 year and then he's arbitration eligible. We're talking 1 year and then the team has all the control. The team will qualify him. The team will, maybe play hardball and say, well, you know what, Jimmy, we know that you scored 20 goals last year, but we have 10.5 each year locked up for Kane and Taves. We have Seabrook and Keith and Yarmulson and all these guys locked up, and we really can't pay you the $3.5 to $4 million a year.
He won't get that.
And there's no chance that he would hold out or anything like that or do something crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. He's
not doing that. No.
Right.
I mean, what just happened? There's a bunch of different things. I mean, to me, I don't know. I would be really wary of that.
Here's the thing. Even if he has a 50-point season, he's still going to only get about $2.5 million, $2.75, something like that for a couple of years, which is way more than an entry-level guy gets in the NHL.
Right.
That's what. So I don't disagree with your source, but I'm saying it's not like he's a UFA. That's the fine line difference is he's not a UFA, so he really is at the mercy of whatever team he goes to. And if you go to a team that historically doesn't pay well, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, and also if he goes to a team and he hits his bonuses, the team is going to have to pay for the bonuses and pay for the increase of his new salary. So it's going to be a sort of a double whammy. And in that case, you have to have a team that is going to have cap space. And I don't think Pittsburgh and Chicago, with the state that they're currently in, is. I mean, remember what happened with Boston and Jerome McGinley. Jerome McGinley hit all of his bonuses. Then he walked as a UFA to Colorado, and what did he leave behind for the Bruins? About $3.5 million in bonus money that they had to pay. So
here's how I like it. Imagine if you had put in Mike's contract a performance bonuses for like 300 shows. He would have eclipsed that already because who the hell knew he wasn't going to ever miss a show?
Yeah, you're right. It's a good thing I didn't put that in his contract.
Yeah.
But the other things I put in his contract are ridiculous. We all know that. So all right. There's the latest things are other people kind of agreeing with what I said, that the Bruins have sort of like the last laugh in this thing, which is what I've been told, that the Bruins will get the last chance to talk to him. It's been confirmed by others as well. And that's what I keep hearing. Now, I mean, today...
That's not what they're saying in Buffalo. The WGR radio is basically saying that Buffalo, that he will go back to Buffalo and give him a first right of refusal or last chance.
They're not. I mean, they're not alone in that either. I mean, there are people who are saying that beyond Buffalo.
There's no
too.
first right of refusal. That's where they have it wrong.
Well, no, there is if he says there is. I mean, it's up to him.
No, but I mean, there's no reason for him to do that other than to just tell Buffalo, hey, it was nice that you interviewed me. I'm leaning towards these guys. That's probably what he's going to do.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not like, see, this is the thing. It's not like they can up the offer. It's not like they can say, you know, Jimmy, what we'll do is we'll give you 10 free passes for a triple order of wings at the Anchor Bar.
No, the Anchor Bar will name a wing after you. That's what they'd have to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's nothing other than the situation, where he's going to play, who he's going to, like, what line he's going to play with.
Yeah.
The contract, he's going to get $925,000 base salary. He's going to get the bonuses. It's all a question of where he wants to play and in what situation.
Okay, so the Islanders also came up today, right? And the Islanders, and as have the Rangers again, by the way, even since I wrote this article. The Rangers are meeting with him as well. I hear maybe tomorrow. So the Islanders are an interesting one because the Islanders, in my mind, are a team that desperately needs him. They have another situation where you can say you can play with a big-time star.
Now, they will say that. There's no question.
No, they'll say that, and they'll keep to it because that is more of the Islanders.
They could actually offer that. There's no question
right,
in my
they
mind.
could say, you are the winger for John Tavares. That is not a bad spot to be in. I mean, it's like that is on par with saying you're the winger with Austin Matthews in my mind because you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, you're talking about two stars. The Islanders are...
Everybody meets with the Rangers, right, because they play at MSG, they pay well, and now Jeff Gordon is a Boston guy, so of course VC is going to meet with him because Jeff Gordon probably scouted him 100,000 times.
Yeah,
but it still doesn't mean he's signing there. I don't think.
And I'm sure Chicago. I'm sure Stan Bowman is going to say, and he'll probably have Jonathan Taves involved in the pitch process. Oh yeah, you would get a chance to play with Taves. And
I heard Patrick Kane was the guy that they were using in the pitch process, but
okay,
probably because of the USA Hockey Connects or whatever. But
that's great too. But see, the thing is, everybody is going to sell their positives.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure. I mean, Buffalo probably talked about him and Eichel, and they know each other, so it'd be Eichel and him back and forth for 2 months. Darren Drager reported yesterday. Well, the Leafs are going to use Austin Matthews as a selling point. No, really? I mean, of course they are. That's one of the best things. So everybody's going to sell their positives when it comes to Jimmy Vesey.
But think about it. Is Alain Vigneault going to guarantee playing time? He barely guarantees playing time for guys that are top players in their organization. So I don't think you're going to get that from him. You're not getting that from Quenneville. You're not getting, Bilesma you might get it from because he's desperate to build a really big team there. So you might get it from Bilesma. You'll definitely get it from New Jersey. New Jersey can do that. But there's these high-powered coaches are not guaranteed. Even Mike Babcock will not guarantee anything.
He won't guarantee. He won't guarantee anything but Russ. If they know the talent of the kid.
Sure.
They know right now it's you playing with Tyler Bozak, Nazem Kadri, or Austin Matthews. It's not a big stretch to put him with Kadri or with Matthews.
No, but you know what'll happen if he signs with the Leafs. He'll be in camp, and Babcock will immediately downplay everything, saying, "Well, listen, he's here now. He's got a lot to learn. We'll see what the kid has." He'll be like that. He's not going to, if the only reason he flipped so quickly on Austin Matthews was because he happened to be at the World Championships and couldn't help but say, wow, this guy is really going to be great, and I know I'm getting him. But that's a rare situation for Babcock if you think about it.
Right.
That's a very rare situation for Babcock. And, Babcock's his own entity altogether. That's a really... he is a love or hate type coach.
But he is the best coach out there, and if you want to play for the best coach, he's the best coach.
Yeah, and we're not talking about it. And this is the thing, we're not talking about.
Who's better,
right? There's a lot of. It's so hard to sit there and define that. Like best coach is a really hard thing to define.
He's the most successful coach right now on the market. Him and Quenneville.
Yeah, I would put Quenneville up there with him. I would, I would think you'd have to look at Cooper up there with him right now. I mean, just like in terms
I can't put Cooper with those two. That's not even in the same
I think
conversation.
Sutter out in L.A.
No, even Sutter, I think, is the next level below, even though he's pretty much there with Cups, but I still think Sutter, I think he's third. I think he's third.
I think a coach also depends on the team, like I think that certain
teams, and that's why,
Sutter might not be a good coach in another team, but he's a great coach for that group. But there's a chicken or egg to that too, because the players there are there because Sutter's the coach there.
But I have to only go off success, and right now we can't put success with Babcock in the sense we know what he's going through. But the idea is I can't put Cooper in the same conversation as the other two. I just can't do it.
Yeah, he hasn't won a thing yet.
But he's done a really good job with that team.
I know he has.
I'm not disputing that.
It's so hard. I mean, I don't know. I am not. I like Babcock a lot. It's hard to argue that he's the best. I think when people are just not blindly, but just when people just automatically say he's the best coach in the NHL, he's the highest paid coach in the NHL. He definitely is the most sought after. He's in the highest profile market.
But it's not that. How
do we know he's the best coach in the NHL right now?
One thing if it's a rubber stamp because just you assume, but you're basing it on his resume. I mean,
he came in last year.
We know that, but
the team is in transition. The team has been a victim of bad mismanagement for most of the last decade, and it's not going to be turned around by the best coach. A great coach cannot make chicken liver out of chicken. You know what?
Not even if they want to, which is I think that's part of Babcock is I think he was coaching them really well, and they started moving people out so they would finish last, right? So I think that played into it too. But at the end of the day, they came in last,
Okay, but then are you going to say Mike Sullivan's better than John Cooper because he won a Stanley Cup and Cooper hasn't?
No. Mike Sullivan had a quick run here, and that was Mike Sullivan. We'll see what Mike Sullivan does, but Cooper's had a good, significant.
Are you going to say Mike Sullivan's better than Dan Bilesma? No.
I don't think there's anybody out there that has lowered their opinion of Mike Babcock based on what happened with the Leafs last year because he got more out of a team that had little talent.
I'm not lowering my opinion. I never, even when Babcock signed there, I wasn't saying that I'm convinced he is the best coach in hockey. He was the best free agent at that time. He was the best, most available coach in hockey at that time. And he definitely got the most money. And he's a great coach. Don't get me wrong. He won with Team Canada, but that's again Team Canada. Anybody who think anybody wouldn't screw that up, right? So because he won with
Mark Crawford.
He won with Detroit. He last year, looking at what Detroit did last year, there was definitely a drop off when he left. Is that because of him or because of other players getting older? Mm-hmm. Detroit still managed to make the playoffs. I thought he did a great job in Detroit last year too, the coach that came in there. But I think that at the end of the day, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know who the best coach is in the NHL right now, and I don't know that we can automatically say it's Mike Babcock just because he's the highest paid and because he coaches for the Maple.
Well, no, I didn't say best. I said most successful. You could look at the success that Babcock has had, and I don't think there's anybody else that matches his success except for Quenneville.
Sutter and Quenneville, I would say, both have matched that success.
I don't think Sutter.
And I would Quenneville. I would put on par with him. I really would.
Yeah, Quenneville. I think that's fair to do that.
But then again, you're looking at Quenneville's got a superstar team there too. So it's like, what is a coach? Do you sit back and you say a coach? Look at Tippett. And other coaches who did really well in the past. With less. I don't know when we talk about Coach of the Year, we often, ignore the coaches at the top and go to the other coaches who get the most out of the teams, right? You could say Babcock did that this year, but you can't because his team finished in last. If he was allowed to this year, he probably could have put the Leafs into a playoff battle or something like that if he really wanted to.
And that would have really been.
That would have messed up the Leafs' future, so he wasn't able to do that. Ideally, I think they would have liked him to become a free agent now, versus then maybe. But who knows? I mean, they brought him in. They convinced him to do that for a year. How much longer they'll be able to convince him to do that, I don't know.
I think now that there are more building blocks in place, it doesn't behoove that organization to. And they didn't tank last year, but they managed it in that they didn't have enough talent to win games. So I mean, but they tried. They try. They just didn't. When you're bringing up AHL guys at the end of the year who clearly are not NHLers yet or not capable of being NHLers yet, I think you're managing your expectations, and they did that, and I think they benefited from that.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. So Babcock has a 649 winning percentage. Sutter has a 608, and now I'm going to look up Quenneville. And you can go by the record. You can.
You can. Well, you also have to go by,
Especially since Babcock had to deal with a horrible team last year, and it's not really moved him off the needle.
No, it's pretty. I mean, 649 considering what he did last year. Yeah, that's pretty good. And I'm not saying Babcock's not a great coach. I just feel as if I just can't help but feel alone.
All right, here's the thing. Okay, I think my list is justified. Quenneville is 647.
Right. Yeah.
I think it is that close, but I think Babcock gets the edge. That's all.
Yeah, and this year, they have young players that they don't want them to get attached to a culture of losing. So I think that they, especially with Matthews, they will. I mean, they'll definitely be charting a more positive course. It doesn't mean that they're going to, be a playoff team or be even competitive for the playoffs. I think they're going to be where, say, Buffalo was last year. They'll be respectable. They'll have bad swings. They'll have good swings, and it'll probably end up around 80 points at the end of the year. But it'll be positive. And last year was, the only thing positive was they finished in 30th place.
Well, 80 points will put them into, at least stay in the running for the playoffs for a while.
They'll be 11th or 12th in the Eastern Conference. They won't be a legitimate playoff contender, but they'll, in February, they'll say, well, we're only 8 points out of a playoffs. We're not out of it. Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
You're out of it.
So I'm going to switch gears. Have we heard anything about what this potential Ottawa Senators announcement could be at 2:30?
No, I have not.
Yeah, nobody has. I mean, they've whatever this is, they've either oversold it or they've really kept a good job keeping it under wraps. It's hard to tell.
Well, yeah. I mean, the only thing, and I have no inside info on this, and I mean, could it be that Brian Murray's stepping away from the organization?
I mean, that would be my thought. That's when someone asked me yesterday. That was my thought. Like that was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, I mean, because I know that Pierre Dorian has taken over as general manager, and he's in an advisory role. And I have, obviously we know Brian Murray's health situation. It might be something like that. Maybe it's either that or have they announced like the new? Like, I know there's been a lot of talk about a downtown arena in Ottawa.
Could be that.
Maybe it's that.
Yeah, I mean, this announcement was to be made earlier. Right, and then they rescheduled it.
No. It was always supposed to be 2:30.
No, but I mean,
they announced it. They announced that they were going to have an announcement yesterday. They announced the meeting, the availability yesterday for 2:30 this afternoon, but nobody knows what it's about.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're building suspense. I'll give them that.
Yeah, it's a good time.
I mean, Ottawa's CFL team is getting the Grey Cup, so that can't be the announcement for the Senators.
Who? The Red Blacks, the worst,
Yes.
the worst team name in professional sports.
It's up there. I don't know if it's the worst.
Well, it's one of the worst. I mean, that with the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, the Utah Jazz never made sense to me.
Well,
I wonder if it has something to do with the. I just texted somebody and they said it might have something to do with the 25th anniversary. And
yeah, they do have. I saw this. They did redo the front of the arena, right?
They did that, yeah, but they.
In Roman numerals, the 25. But again, I don't think that's a significant.
Is it possible that they're getting like a Heritage Classic game type thing?
It could be. I mean, are they inviting Alexander Daig back and some of the other?
Braddock Monk.
Yeah, right.
Damian Rhodes will be back.
Alexander Daig. Alex Yashin and Daig and.
Yeah, I mean, is Yashin going to come back and be the captain?
Only if Carroll.
Who's that goalie that no one can score on? What was his name?
Patrick Lalime.
Patrick Lalime, right?
Ron Tugnut. Yeah, Yashin will come only if Carroll Alt gets the penthouse suite at the best Ottawa hotel.
Or are they changing their logo? Someone text me.
That's not a significant announcement.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It is in August.
Unless they've oversold it. Like I said, the word significant is pretty significant when you put that in the sentence.
I mean, I think with Brian Murray, that I don't know that they would do another one like that. I think that, I don't know Brian Murray.
I think they would because of what he's meant to them. I do.
I mean, it depends on what he wants to do, I guess. But
yeah.
I don't think.
Maybe Eugene Melnick has found an extra $1 billion in his sock drawer.
It's possible. I mean, Chris Phillips isn't retiring again, is he?
That's interesting. No.
They're announcing an extension for Dion Phaneuf.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, right. They're going to bring back Wade Redden. No, I don't know. They're going to admit the fact that the Chara trade was bad. Maybe that's it. Or not signing Chara was bad. Not they should have signed Chara instead of Redden. That's what they're going to go with, right? Someone said they heard something about the Senators and Islanders playing in some kind of special game. I don't know what that is too. There's a couple texts that are coming in. I don't know. There's a bunch of different things. We'll see what happens. But
is that going to be like the McDonald's game? They're going to have that? No, I'm sorry.
Right. What would that be? Next year's.
That would be a whopper of a game.
No, Big Mac, Mike. Come on.
I know. I'm just.
I don't even understand that reference.
God.
The Senators and Islanders?
No, I mean, no. There's no reference. It's just if you were going to market it and it's not a Heritage Classic and it's not a Winter Classic, then maybe it's like the Big Mac Classic.
Oh yeah, the official Big Mac Classic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I'll go with that.
And then you go back to the original Big Mac because they probably have changed it over the years.
Or the Happy Meal.
And the special sauce will be the poutine will be on.
I will say this: if they do that, they should invite back the Hamburglar because whatever happened to him?
Yeah, well, he's playing for Ottawa.
Like you don't see right, but he does play goal for Ottawa, and that's good marketing. But I'm just saying, like in real life, what has happened to the Hamburglar?
That's a darn good question.
He's in jail for 10 to 15.
Yeah, right. He probably got caught by Mayor McMac.
Mayor McCheese. I haven't even seen Mayor McCheese. I think he's retired.
I know they really were way out ahead of those type things. Like those things are popular now. If they did that now, it would be bigger. But at that time, doing those anamorphic giant vegetables and foods. It didn't work as well.
Even Ronald McDonald's not around. I mean, you don't see him much.
Ronald McDonald was always creepy. Now, come on, there's no question.
He was, but like now you don't even see
creepiest of all. I mean,
where's Grimace?
Grimace turned into Barney.
Could you imagine Ronald McDonald with a French Canadian accent? Come on.
That was always my theory that Grimace mutated into Barney, the singing dinosaur, because they really are very similar in a lot of ways.
Wow, you can tell it's August.
All right, yeah. So let's move on to something else, which I think is controversial.
Although the Grimace never spoke, Barney could speak.
I do have a hockey thing here that I think is kind of controversial. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much for having a hockey thing that's very controversial. Jason Greger, who's a writer, he tweeted out a little while ago that I guess he's also a goalie because he was training with 5 NHL goalies. He said at a goalie thing, and none of them have the new equipment on at all, and none have even ordered it. And they're saying they don't think they're going to have to. That what they're feeling is the NHL is only this year going to require the pants to change, but not the pads or anything else. I don't. That's bizarre if that's true because this is the goalies. Like they say that the NHL goes and gives this lip service and talks about it, but then doesn't actually really.
What would changing the pants do?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Kay Whitmore can save on his.
No, apparently the pants are a big deal because they are.
Once in a blue moon, a puck gets lost in the pants. Come on.
No, because when you go down into your split, if you're wearing size XXX pants or whatever, they do play a factor in your. And I think that I will be the first to admit that Flyer Michael Neuwirth has enormous goalie pants, and I think that plays in. I mean,
he's put on a little weight too. I mean,
I haven't noticed that, but
it depends.
But I think the pants might be the biggest change, and people don't even really talk about it. But then you have
it's creepy to talk about goalie pants.
I know, but if you wear big enough goalie pants, I mean that covers a big part of your 5-hole,
Well, some guys' 5-holes are bigger.
And I don't. And that's not just a saying. That's not just a saying. That's actually literal. I meant that literally. No, but isn't this kind of strange? Because if I'm not mistaken,
this whole conversation's strange.
Don't the goalies have to be wearing the new equipment by the time this season starts? Isn't that true?
In theory, yeah, and that's why I was saying it's like and supposedly, and I think it's still Kay Whitmore. Kay Whitmore, who works for the NHL, was supposed to go around to every team. Now, obviously, there's no training camps going on right now, but he would go around to every team and measure the goaltending equipment to make sure that it was within spec. And if it's not within spec, and if it's because the companies that provide the pads and all the equipment haven't been able to do it, I mean, then what are they going to give a special dispensation for these goaltenders until they do have the equipment, or do they push it forward a year? I mean,
I thought that's what the World Cup was kind of for. Like they can.
I thought these rules were in place, and that was it. You know, that it was done.
Yeah. That was the whole point.
I don't know. I mean, maybe that is in place, but I don't know. I mean, there are people. You know, someone wrote in the comment thread on Reddit about this. What people forget is the NHL has in fact created multiple times goaltender restrictions on equipment, but failed to enforce it time and time again. The only thing
I do remember in the past them not enforcing, but the last time they said they were going to enforce, they did enforce a little bit. They just didn't go with the crazy size nets and everything, but things did change. So I believe that it would change this time, and I guess I got duped.
This should be. I mean, I'm gonna really do a lot of research on this one tomorrow. And after the Jimmy VC thing stops.
It doesn't stop. It stops Friday.
Oh yeah, after whatever.
Friday or Saturday.
After I've exhausted every possible person I can talk to about Jimmy VC, I will talk to people at the NHL about this, because I really thought this was just the reality of it. I didn't think this was even in question, and I thought, like you did, Russ, that we would see the new equipment maybe at the World Cup of Hockey. Although I heard that wasn't necessary. I heard they were allowed to wear their old equipment at World Cup of Hockey, but I don't think that's absolutely. It seems.
But if I was a goalie, why would I want to do that?
Right. Well, yeah, there's lots of reasons. I mean, you're stepping right into it's different. It's different where your equipment in preseason, regular season hockey, as opposed to like a quick tournament. I would wear my old equipment if I was a goalie. I would definitely, if I could, I would wear it, because I wouldn't want to blow into a tournament where like 1 or 2 goals.
Yeah, but you lose the World Cup. Sure, it's not great, right? But you lose like 10 regular season games. That affects the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, but you can. It does. No, it does. But you can also you can make it back from that a little bit easier than this, from what I understand. Anyway, I just think that's pretty weird, and we'll definitely search more into it to see what is going on. Someone wrote this to me too, which I think is really fascinating, that Andrew Cogliano has never missed a game in his NHL career.
Yeah, he is the current Iron Man guy, I think.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've always liked Cogliano, but and he's been definitely had many different iterations, and
I believe he was on that World Junior team that covered with Taves and. That team I talk about all the time, and he was one of them, I'm pretty sure. And so
that Grand Forks team?
No, not the Grand Forks team. The team with Jonathan Taves in the World Cup that won gold with Justin Pogge in net. I'm pretty sure Cogliano was on that team too.
I think so too. I think with number 11, we did number 10 yesterday. I think I'm going to hold off on one day because of the VC stuff today was really kind of crazy, and we'll get into number 11 tomorrow.
Why is VC going to wear number 11?
Who knows? Probably.
So if he goes to the New York Rangers, is Mark Messier going to say, "Hey Jimmy, here's number 11. You could use it for a while"?
Right. Why not?
Ace Bailey did it for Ron Ellis. He said, "Go ahead and wear my number 6."
Yeah, I'm gonna go crazy here and on a limb and say Mark Messier is not going to do that.
Sorry, I got another text. I missed what you said completely.
Okay, I'll say it again. Mark Messier will not generously give Jimmy Vesey his number that is retired.
Well, I don't think.
No, I agree with that.
I don't think Gilbert Perreault will give it up in Buffalo.
No, he's not going to do it.
According to a person I just talked to, that this conference, and this might not be new news, but this person texted me here, that Melnick, Murray, Durian, and some other players are going to be attending this press conference.
Right, but they said that 3 hours ago.
Oh, they did? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, thanks for the non-text there.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying.
He must have texted that straight from like Fox News. He gave us the obvious.
Right.
Thank you, Bill O'Reilly.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, I don't know. This kind of cracks me up. This is
that was your source.
No, what's funny about this is like I remember what was it? The one of my favorite tweets ever was when Gary Bettman reported a trade at the draft, which had already been reported everywhere else, and someone was like, "Thanks, Gary, you're late."
That's true.
I
do remember that too.
That's like Twitter to a T, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're late, Gary. We know that already. It's like so funny. I mean, people are hilarious. It's like that. They think it's like that. It is funny because people on Twitter have this sense that that everyone's following the same people, talking to the same people. Everyone knows everything. And I've talked to so many reporters and who actually fall into that as well. And I'm like, listen, just report what you hear when you hear it. If someone else reported it before you, that's
right.
And you don't know about that, you can't. You would have to hire a full-time staff and then fire them probably later. You have to hire a full-time staff to actually keep up with Twitter, so you wouldn't be behind on anything. I guess I don't know, but it's just, to me, it's just, But I love when Gary was told he was late for talking about it. That's pretty much all I got today, guys. Do you want to get into our 7 movies before we go?
Yeah, let's do it. I want to do it.
I think that was kind of fun. Yeah, this is a big meme that's going on the internet. And if I get anything else about VC while we're on here before we go.
And I hope I get the same positive reaction that I did from talking about the Olympics that I do the movies.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so these are just your favorite 7 movies of all time.
Yes.
Well, yes. It's your own personal favorite 7 movies. I think that this is the problem with this, is that people are interpreting this as this is the best 7 movies
ever made.
No, this is in my mind.
These are your personal
correct
favorite movies. Okay, you guys go first because you guys have talked about this earlier, but I will fill in.
Mike, do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You go first, Russ.
All right. So my number 1 movie is Animal House. I own it. I've watched it a million times. I still laugh. Like, it's just, John Belushi was just brilliant, right? Like, there's so many brilliant people in that movie, but John Belushi, bar none, he did things in that movie that people still copy. So I go with that. Number 2, I have to preface this because it's the original Dr. Dolittle, not the piece of you-know-what that Eddie Murphy put out. And the reason I preface this is Rex Harrison was like a great old actor, right? And I was probably 7, 8, 9 years old when I saw this at Radio City, and I wanted to talk to the animals. I thought that would have been great. I still want to talk to my animals, but whatever. We move on.
You do talk to your animals.
I do, but they don't talk back.
They just don't talk back.
Right. Number 3 is The Godfather. Like everybody, again, I'm not a Marlon Brando fan, but he was fantastic in that movie. Like and living out in Massapequa where there was plenty of mobsters back in the day, it really fit. It was always a big hit.
Number
4 is the. Go ahead.
There was not a performance in that movie that was bad. No.
Right. Nobody. All right. Number 4, the Natural. Like that. Again, I look at that movie and I know that it's fictitious and everything else, but Redford was great. Everything just hit in that movie. It is a good baseball movie. It's a good sports movie, but it's a good movie. Yeah. Like that's really the point. Is it's a good movie. It's a good story.
Filmed in Buffalo at the War Memorial, where the Bills.
That's the only bad thing about the movie. Oh, but otherwise, I like it.
Please, and I had people that I know who were in the crowd as extras.
Okay, now number 5 is Caddyshack. I saw this movie before anybody. Like literally opening weekend. I have no idea why we saw it. It was probably one of those things where like we're bored on a Friday night and we're looking in the movie section. We're like, oh, well, this has Bill Murray. Let's just see this. And it was like we saw it like 10 times after that. And the funny thing is not one of them after could even hold a candle to the original. Like you couldn't even after that. This needed to be a one-off. They never needed to do a Caddyshack anything else ever again. It was just so great.
And they did, and it was terrible.
And it was terrible. Okay, Jaws. Jaws, we had cable before a lot of people on Long Island with Cablevision, and Exorcist was the first movie, and I think Jaws was the second movie. Yeah. And I got to tell you, people were literally scared that summer. Like, nowadays, nobody gets scared at anything, right? But back then, they did. Yeah. They really did.
Okay.
Number 7, hold on, I got a few more.
Keep going. I like you're actually going so far.
And number 7 is Star Wars. I mean, I saw the original shortly after it came out, and I played the video game a lot, and I loved the movie, and I still like that one better than. Well, I like Empire Strikes Back a lot too. It's close, but I love Star Wars.
Yeah, Empire maybe.
There you go.
I know that's on Mike's list too, Star Wars. So.
The original.
No, it's not. But I mean, it's
episode 4 for the geeks, right? I have to say episode 4 now.
Yes.
It's a great movie, but I would think it would have been beaten out by Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan. But okay. The 2 that Russ and I both picked, and when I tweeted it out last night, I'm kicking myself for forgetting about Jaws, because Jaws is a movie that I saw as an 8-year-old in the theater, and I have it on DVD, and at any time that it's on broadcast TV, it doesn't matter if it's on TBS and it's edited out or whatever, I have to watch that movie. It is just one of the best movies. It doesn't scare me anymore. It's great. It's just so great.
The opening scene, though, when the girl gets pulled under, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. That's pretty crazy.
And the thing is, if you ever watch like a DVD of the making of Jaws, and there's some, there's some documentary specials about that, they only did that because the shark was broken. The shark was not working. Ideally, the shark was supposed to like be in the background and come and attack her, and it was like sort of theater of the mind. She was there and got pulled under. Like there was somebody underneath the water pulling her under.
And it worked great.
And it worked fantastic. The Godfather, like I said, I mean, being of Sicilian and Italian background, my father didn't like it because he thought it glorified the mob mentality. But it's an amazing movie, and there's not a bad performance in it. So those are the two we cross. Patton, George C. Scott. I always remember the fact that he didn't take the Oscar after he won it. He would not accept it because he had been jilted for a nomination previously and just didn't want to take it. It was probably the greatest performance of his career and arguably one of the best war movies.
Did he walk around with like a lit stogie in that movie all the time?
Pretty much. I think so.
I kind of remember that.
Yeah, no, it's a great movie. Midway, 1976 or 77. I told Russ the story. I borrowed $1 out of my mom's purse and rode my bike to a movie theater where it was being shown in Sensurround. This is like an earthquake.
I remember Sensurround.
Inferno. So I sat in the back of the theater with these monstrous column speakers, and every time the Americans dropped a bomb on the deck of the Japanese carrier, the theater shook. But it was just a great movie, one of those all-star cast type movies.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Lion in Winter, Katharine Hepburn, and Peter O'Toole. I'm a history buff, so this is a
yeah.
That's like your snobby pick. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, no, I've got two snobby picks because the funny thing is Peter O'Toole plays in both of these movies. The Lion.
I liked him in my favorite year better, but whatever.
That was a great movie. Lion in Winter and Beckett. And then he plays the same character in both movies.
I never even saw that movie.
Beckett was with him and Richard Burton.
Okay.
And the last one. And here's a movie that I saw in the theaters, liked it, but didn't realize how good it was until I saw it a second, a third, a fourth time, and that was Braveheart. I liked it, but I didn't think it was a classic. I just thought, okay, it's a Mel Gibson movie. It's sort of a departure. I'm used to him being in Lethal Weapon and whatever. But then it's like a couple weeks later, I said, I'm going to go see that again, and it was just so much better. And to me, it's like one of the best movies. I mean, unfortunately, with his, the end of his career going the way it did, but it's still one of the most fantastic films I've ever seen.
Great movie.
Wow, you guys are good. I mean, I'm a very different kind of my list is very, very different than yours. And I was trying to put it together there as I was listening too, but I mean, your lists are some really classic, some of the best movies ever.
I didn't even have Monty Python in there. I love Monty Python, right?
Yeah. What's your favorite Monty Python movie?
Holy Grail.
Holy Grail.
Yeah, mine too. And it's there's some good Monty Python live at the theaters movies. Those are really good. But Holy Grail's. All right, so my list is very much more snobby, I think you're going to say. But in my opinion, it's not like I really am an independent movie guy, and I really do. I like the blockbusters for going to the movie theaters and just then eating popcorn and being nice and cold and watching, just being entertained.
Sometimes you don't know it's going to be a blockbuster.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's true. But my movies are definitely. I mean, I think all of my movies could be made for the amount of money that like one of the Star Wars movies were made for. They're just different, and these are movies that I've just over the years have really just and how I made my list sort of was thinking of movies that I've watched several times. Like these movies are to me, if I can put them, if I'm home and bored, I can put one of these movies on and just completely love it.
Okay.
My first movie is Garden State, which I've mentioned before.
I knew that was going to be on your top side.
I mean, it's an incredible movie. I had a little thing with it, but besides that, it's just an amazing movie made by Zach Braff, and
Natalie Portman's a plus.
Natalie Portman's amazing in it, but it's a great story, and it's and also having grown up in New Jersey, there was a little bit to that too as well. But I really think that it's the ultimate date movie in my mind. If you're gonna go, and it just for anybody who's ever felt like they're completely like The
Yeah,
world is just a
I'd
mess
like to know
back
where that. I'd like to know where that big cavern is that they scream into at the end of the movie.
Oh yeah, the Great Abyss. I know it's like the story, and it's true. It's true stories. They were digging to build a new mall in in like northern New Jersey, and as they say, they love their malls here. And then they came across this like underground Grand Canyon type thing, and they stopped building on it and they started excavating it and all that kind of stuff. And it was a true story. My second movie is Once, which is a movie that it won the you've heard the song, it won the Oscar for the best song. It's a story of it's really fascinating. Of an Irish singer who is like a street musician, and he meets this girl from Czechoslovakia, and they put together and they basically, she's married and he's not, and they have just a really cool working friendship where she believes in his music. They never get involved. It doesn't end like you would think it does. Incredible music, incredibly real. And the cool thing about it was the guy who starred in it was not supposed to be it was his story. But they wrote the story about this guy, his particular story, and they cast a regular actor in it. And they said, we can't, no one else can do this like you could do it. So they get this guy who's never acted before, and he actually acts in the part, and that's really neat. And he just kills it. And I've seen them live. Garrett Hansford, his name is. I've seen him live now a couple times, and I've seen the Once Croup live before. Next is Wings of Desire. This sounds bigger. Do you know this at all, Russ?
No, I'm 0 for 3.
Okay, Wings of Desire was made. It's a foreign film, so it's not like not a naughty flick. It's literally about this concept that was remade into a movie called City of Angels, which was a terrible movie.
Oh God, yeah. The Nicolas Cage, Meg Ryan.
Right. But that concept of angels being around you all the time and talking to you and helping you, that was in Wings of Desire, but done in German and way better. And
is it subtitled?
It was subtitled, yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch any subtitle movies.
I usually don't either, but this is worth it. The cool thing about this is, the thing about these angels is kind of neat, is that they aren't like your typical, like, just lofty angels. They're just people who are sitting in the room, and you don't know who's an angel and who's actually a person, but the angels can feel what other people are thinking. So the angels react to people's thoughts. It's really fascinating.
That's cool.
Next is Brooklyn. Came out just 2 years ago.
I want to see it. I still haven't seen that.
I saw Brooklyn for the first time this past weekend on HBO.
Okay.
It's a very, very good movie. And
I need to tape it. I really want to see it.
Yeah. And the thing is that's disconcerting is that Saoirse Ronan, who's the actress who's got nominated for an Academy Award, I've seen her in movies back to when she was like 11 years old. The one movie with James McAvoy and Keira Knightley, where
I know what you're talking about.
I can't think of the name. But basically, the McAvoy character is accused of raping Keira Knightley, and they were actually having a romantic fling, and it ruins their lives. She was like
sounds like
10 or 11. Yeah, she was like a 10 or 11-year-old girl in that movie, and now she's a grown woman, and she's a beautiful young girl, and it's a really good movie. It's a really good movie.
It looks great. I have to see it.
No, it's an amazing movie. It was recommended to me by Kevin Allen, honestly, who saw it. He said you got to see it. And Kevin and I have similar tastes in movies. I recommended Once to him, I think, in Garden State. He recommended Brooklyn. Really good. Next is That Thing You Do, which is
oh no!
Which I know people are going to laugh at, but the Tom Hanks movie.
It's a cute
movie, but that song is. I really hate the fact that you're mentioning the song.
Yeah,
I liked the song. It was written by Tom Hanks. The song was. The whole movie was written by Tom Hanks. I was in a band and I went through similar type feelings of this is the story of a one-hit wonder. We weren't a no-hit wonder, but this was a one-hit wonder, and the concept of hearing your song on the radio for the first time, the scene in That Thing You Do, and I've lived that scene myself, so I know what that's like. So that scene just in and of itself is enough to they nailed it on there. People running around town saying turn on this radio station. I lived through that, so that's really cool. Next is Miracle, and I know it's a hockey movie.
It's in my top 10. It is.
Yeah, it's just such a well done movie, and the thing about the first movies before this, okay, is maybe the first four especially, are movies that one of the way I classify my favorite movies are when the movie ends, you're mad that there's not going to be anything else. Like you really want to know what happens next. Like you're really legitimately deep inside are frustrated by the fact that and you know none of these movies were made into sequels. So it's like one of these things like, and even if it was, it wouldn't be right. But that's just good movie making to me. That you're like, what happens now? You know, what happens now? So that thing you do is a little different than that, of course. But Miracle.
I have to say that Kurt Russell was much better as Herb Brooks than Karl Malden was.
Yes.
Oh yeah, not even close.
Now, Miracle is a great movie. It's just, and it really does epitomize a time in my life too when I was, you know, I remember watching the whole thing and you know having then met some people that were in that movie after, not in that movie, but the characters that were playing in the movie and talking to them about that. You know, it's really fun to talk to hockey
Star Wars
people.
and Miracle were like neck and neck for me, and I just Star Wars edged it out.
Yeah. And then last but not least, and I just put this on here because I have to put, there's two movies that are kids movies that I know that people are going to laugh at the fact that these kid movies, but these are incredible movies for adults to watch. These are kid movies, and the first one is the Lego Movie, and people are going to laugh at this because the
I
Lego.
heard it's great. I haven't seen it though.
The Lego Movie is maybe the funniest movie made in the last 5 years. Like remember when you first saw Airplane in the movie theaters?
Yeah.
The Lego Movie is like that, where it's every second is funny. It's just legitimately hilarious.
Well, now they're playing that "Everything Is Awesome" song everywhere.
I don't know why that suddenly has had a rebirth, but
I know.
and that song's annoying. That's not like I mean
It
that
is annoying.
it's supposed to be annoying. Then in the movie,
Right.
It's annoying. That's the whole concept of it. So
Right.
it's not now that it's just out there. It's very annoying.
So what you're saying is it's like every other Katy Perry and Lady Gaga song.
Basically, yeah. And then the other one is Meet the Robinsons, which is a really good animated film as well. It's another Pixar film.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
It's got a great story. It's a shocking story as how it unfolds. You can never guess where the plot's going, but it bases its theme on the Walt Disney quote, "Keep moving forward," which is, and that's something I have written in my office all the time, no matter what, throughout my life, and my kids know this theme. This is that's a big quote to me. Like no matter what's happening, just keep moving forward. And so it's very uplifting. Meet the Robinsons. Lego Movie for hilarity. Meet the Robinsons just for a really good message. So those are my 7 kind of.
I think what we should do either tomorrow or later in the week is do our 7 most overrated movies.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
There you go. And if I was to do Star Wars, I think Empire's my favorite, but I actually really, really, really liked The Force Awakens. I thought it was a very good movie. I thought it was up there. I thought it was right there with Empire to me. Better than the first one, even though I know it copied the first one in so many ways, but it was better than the first one, I thought. Force Awakens was really good. So, and other sci-fi things. I mean, I like sci-fi, but it's not like that I would put them in my top 7, but there you go.
I mean, Blade Runner is great. There's a lot of great.
Is awesome. I watched Close Encounters the other day. That is a strange movie.
It is, and you can find something different in that every time.
Yeah, and it points. Sometimes when I watch it, I'm like, why was this so popular? And sometimes you watch it, you're like, oh, okay.
Because it was Spielberg's next movie after Jaws.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the craze for UFOs has never really stopped in this country.
Right.
For whatever reason, here's the thing: we're all hockey guys. We drive in the most remote places at all parts of the night. And not one UFO has ever tried to grab me. And I always put it out there. The challenge is out there.
Right.
I'm out there. I'm out on the road 1, 2, and 3 in the morning. Come and get me.
Yeah, there you have it. No, it's true. There's others too that come to mind as well. It's a fun thing to go. It's a fun experiment to go through. That's all the time we have actually. So we'll be back again tomorrow. We won't know where Jimmy Vesey is, I don't think, yet. Tomorrow. I don't think Ottawa's announcements about signing Jimmy Vesey, by the way. Someone said that. It's always interesting when there's 2 mysteries going on at the same time and they end up being the same thing. That's happened a couple times in hockey. It definitely has, but not. I don't think this is one of them. Remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We'll talk to you later.